Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel, and we're going to talk today about signs that someone's secretly unhappy. You know, a lot of times people are dealing with things and they don't want to lead on, they don't want to inconvenience anybody, they don't want to be, unfriendly or unkind, or they don't want other people to worry about them, or they don't want drama, or they're not ready to talk about whatever's bothering them. And so there's a bunch of reasons why a person could be unhappy and not being honest about it. And so if you're dealing with emotional regulation, if you're dealing with challenges with expressing emotions, if you're dealing with a lot of stress and you're uncomfortable and you don't know what to do next, reaching out for coaching can be a great way to master life in 2021. If you're interested in doing that, there's a couple ways to do that. You can go to the About Me section of this particular YouTube page and click the link to my website. There's information there, or you can follow on Twitter at PO Perception and reach out with a direct message there. Either way, get back to you as quickly as I can. I want to help as many people as I can this year. Anyway, so there's about, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that will indicate that a person is in fact unhappy and they're not being honest. So, well, the first is they'll avoid questions. They'll avoid anything that could lead to conflict. They'll avoid anything that, well, is going to lead to them having to be more open, having to be more honest, having to admit that they're struggling. So they're going to talk about hobbies. They're going to talk about the weather. They're going to talk about memories, maybe. They're also going to talk a little less, so they may not be as outgoing and gregarious as is normal for them. They may struggle to find things to talk about or open conversations. They may not reach out as much as they normally did or used to. All of these are signs that they may be dealing with feelings of unhappiness and not sure how to express them appropriately. The next is like unto it, they're going to give short answers. So a person who's happy and fully engaged in a friendship or relationship is going to kind of want to keep the connection going, which means the more robust answer, animated, talking with your hands, and just kind of all those things where you're excited and it flows over into your tone and your inflection and your body language and how you're interacting. Now, a person who's unhappy is going to keep their answers short and tight and to the point. They're going to be as concise as possible. They're going to only say what they feel necessary or needed to say. They're not going to say things that give away the fact there could be a challenge or a problem in the future or currently, and that's going to be a pretty major thing. It's important to understand that is part of the journey. The next thing is they'll cancel plans pretty consistently. So, a person who's unhappy might find doing daily tasks, getting up and going to work, getting up and getting dressed, spending time in public places in general, keeping plans, planning ahead, making plans, social interaction. They may find all these things difficult. And so when the pattern becomes that the person is no longer willing or able to keep plans, and it's not just one time, it's not just twice, it's not just 3 times, it's a pattern. So 3 or more times where they're like, no, I know I said we were going to do this, but we'll do it later. No, I know we said we were going to do this, but I just can't today. And it becomes kind of clustered patterns, so it's happening frequently. That's a sign that they're dealing with unhappiness and can't handle it. Another one that's super common and easy to see is if they're oversleeping, especially if oversleeping causes them to be less dependable than before. Lots of times when a person's unhappy or in the gateway to depression, they'll start to rest more and waste time and almost become hypersomnic or hypersomniac because they're looking for ways to escape their emotions. And so when you're asleep, you're not thinking. When you're asleep, you're not feeling. When you're asleep, you're not dealing with any of the challenges or problems that you may be having in the moment. And so they become, habit formed towards sleeping at any possible given time when they don't have something they absolutely have to do. Then crawling into a nice warm bed and hibernating seems like a good idea. Again, they'll choose to be alone versus social. This is another huge indicator of kind of that stressor point. And the choice is more, I can control my environment. I can control what affects me when I'm alone. I can't control my environment when other people are around. I have to be on guard. I have to be actively listening so as not to say too much. I don't want to deal with any of that. So I choose to be alone. And that again, especially for a person who maybe has struggled in the past with social isolation. If you notice someone isolating again on a consistent basis, that's, ultimately a challenge there. The next to last thing is they become more shy and reserved. So a person who is happy, a person who's excited, a person who is actively choosing to be socially engaged, they're going to be animated and they're going to be excited and they're going to have opinions and they're going to have viewpoints and they're going to want to share with others and they're going to want to be as involved as they possibly can be. The challenge with that, which becomes even greater over time, is that when they begin to see that nothing is changing, or they begin to see that life is overwhelming to them consistently, they'll become more reserved over a span of time. That reservation leads to isolation, and it leads also to kind of resentment in a lot of cases. And so what begins to happen is that at the end of the day, a person starts to be socially less available, less aware, less alert, less willing to interact, and that ultimately leads to a lot of pain and emotional distance and dissonance. The last thing in that particular journey is they will express, or often do express, extreme anger and frustration when called out for being socially different. And so what happens is a person who is, frustrated, a person who is sad, a person who's depressed, they're going to kind of disconnect from social interaction. And when someone calls them out on it, they're going to become defensive because it's too close to home and they have to defend themselves even further to prove that they're not they're not reserved, they're not uncaring, they're not indifferent. And so having to defend oneself makes them defensive by default, and then that creates arguments and disagreements. And really, they're just trying to push away from any interaction because it's uncomfortable for them. So hopefully, this has been helpful. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.